Hello, everybody, and welcome to another movie review. Now, this is a documentary, and it took me a long time to push this button because I knew that because of the title, there were going to be some things in it that just probably pisses me off. So, very much of this movie is in their language and it has subtitles, so I will have to read it to you. And by me not showing it, I shouldn't get a strike where, it comes to YouTube or anything like that. But just give you the rundown right quick before I start. So the name of this documentary is called Stolen Daughters. It is kidnapped by Boko Haram, and it's the story about I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but in Africa there was a country, a couple of countries actually, who had went to the school and kidnapped all the girls and held them hostage for a few. I'm not sure if it was weeks or months, but this is their documentary, and they're going to be telling their story about it. And so here we go. So, right at the beginning, it says here, this is the day that I will never forget my whole life. So, I'm going to be coming in and out. And when I get to certain parts, then we'll talk about it. I'll read what she says and go on from there. All right, here we go. Okay, it's 2009. Islamic, huh? And now they're showing video of them with their machine guns. It says at least 28,000 have died and 3 million people forced from their homes. There's a video here of someone from that group saying, "We're going to sell your daughters in the market." One of the mothers said that she saw on the television where the soldiers, well, not soldiers, but where these people were standing by the daughters at the school, and she said all she could do was pray. And so I'm looking here at the picture. All of the girls, they have their nothing but their faces showing. Everything else is covered with the I don't know what you call it, but the little hair Islamic thing that goes all the way down. Um, and they're really big, like sheets. So it's not like you can see any shapes or anything of these girls. You don't see anything but faces. Let's go on. It says 57 girls managed to escape, but the rest were taken to Boko Haram's camp in Sambisa Forest. So they're saying that it's the failure of the state for allowing those girls to be out there even one day with them. And now they're showing clips from here in the United States where they had the hashtag Bring Back Our Girls. All the celebrities. Um, One of the ladies said that as soon as Michelle Obama was seen with that Bring Back Our Girls, everybody there started talking about the Chibok girls. That's what the girls were called from that area of Chibok. The Nigerian government said that a rescue attempt would risk the lives of the Chibok girls. And I'm just really wondering how hard did they try? Let's go on. 3 years later, a deal was struck with the Boko Haram. You imagine living in hell for 3 years? We already have an idea of what went on in this forest. We already know why they specifically targeted those young girls. This is not a colonizer. This is someone who looks just like these girls who's doing this to them. Let's keep going. It says here 103 girls were released. It says finally their stories can be told. And now it's showing the name of the title. This Abuja, capital of Nigeria. They have cars going past, buildings, houses, like a regular street. Since the release of the Chibok girls, oh, I'm sorry, since their release, the Chibok girls have been kept under protection in a government safe house. So you go from being in the jungle to a house. But I understand why they did it. Well, let's keep watching. It says the filmmakers have been given access. And now I'm looking at people with guns. These are really, really big guns. Isn't it crazy how the same weapons that were used to kidnap you are the same weapons used to protect you? Like, how can this be your normal to see this? Even before the kidnapping, they had these soldiers or pretend soldiers or whatever going around with these type of guns, machine guns and things like that, harming people and stealing their things. And don't get it twisted. Just because this documentary was a long time ago, don't mean this stuff is stopped. Just last year, we saw on the African news where I forgot the name of it. Mm-mm-mm. I'll have to try to find it in my notes. But people were getting uh, beat up and their things taken from them because they thought they had too nice of things. So if they had iPhones, people were stealing it from them, knocking them out. If they dressed too nicely, they were targeted. Just this is beyond crabs in a barrel. This is a I'm going to take what I want type of mentality. Let's keep going here. Right now, it's showing all the girls. Um, they're in this big sort of like courtyard, and approaching is Aisha Al Hassan. She is the Nigerian Minister of Women's Affairs. So let's see what she has to say. She's introducing the staff. So this is the head teacher. He has 20 teachers. He's the head. They have doctors, medical doctors, two doctors, four matrons living with the girls in the setting. So let me look this up right quick. A matron is the job title of a very senior or chief of nurse in several countries, including the UK and its former colonies such as India, also known as the Republic of Ireland. The chief nurse, in other words, the person in charge of nursing at the hospital or staff. So they have four matrons. He's saying that some of them are from Chibok, and so it would give the girls a familiar environment because they speak the same language. It would make them feel at home. Wait, 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 wait. What do you mean, have a nice day? Where's the psychologist? Where's the psychiatrist? Where's the therapist? 3 years of torture and no therapist? Let me take a break right quick. All right, let's go on with this movie. No therapist, no psychiatrist. It says here the Boko Haram translates as Western education is forbidden. Wait, wait. A group called Western Education is Forbidden. What kind of sense does this make? Is this thing on? Yes. So you kidnapped girls because you were against their education, and you're trying to make this the Islamic State, and you named yourself Education is Forbidden. This makes no fucking sense. We're gonna have to look into this actual translation of this name, because if that's what it means, let's keep going, y'all. It says on the day they were kidnapped, the Chibok girls were taking their final exams. So in this setting here with this school, um, protection house, safe house, I guess you could say, they're not wrapped from head to toe in here. Their heads are covered, but they're able to wear long dresses and shoes. So, and it's allowed to be short sleeves. And I see a lot of them have earrings, so that's nice. Their head wraps match their dresses. That's pretty too. So it looks like some of these girls are 20, 21, and younger. One of the girls said on the day she was released, she was wondering if she was really free from the suffrage. And she told herself she couldn't dwell on what happened. She says she told herself the past is like water. Once it's spilled forever. So they're showing them in school now in class. And they're showing their ages. Wait, wait, wait. Another one of the girls said, when we first arrived here, we watched a lot of videos to help us forget what happened. Didn't I just say, where was the therapist? Where was the psychologist? Didn't I just say that? Videos to help you forget? That's not therapy. Another girl said, I prefer to stay here in the safe house because I fear that the Boko Haram will come back to my village. One of the girls said, they have told us that staying alone is not good for us because he'll have bad thoughts. I need for somebody to tell me in the comment section. We'll take it bit by bit. This is going to be the 8-minute mark. What do you think about the fact that she did not mention a therapist, a psychologist, any kind of help for your mind? And what do you feel about the fact that they went from one environment that was basically closed in to another closed in environment, but they're told it's for their own good to keep them safe, which I do understand it is a high possibility of them coming back. But who's really free here? And a lot of people say, "Oh, well, you can't be like that. You can't blame all men for stuff." Who does the wars? Who does the killing? Who does the R wording? Who does the political stuff that leads to more wars? Who does the bargaining of people for weapons and money? Who does a lot of the hatred? I'm not saying women don't hate because they do, but who does that? Who would think to kidnap young girls and women? Who would think to target their own people regardless of what's going on? You're going to look at yourself and say, I'm a man, so I have a right to take you. Don't tell me religion don't have nothing to do with it, because it very well does. That and your messed up mentality. Let's keep going. So one of the teachers said when they first came there, a lot of them, the girls were so scared from the trauma they went through that they didn't want to go outside, let alone to go back home. So she said under this program, we have them in a very safe and secure shelter. She's telling her camera crew that they can go around and see. Now, we all know how countries are with other countries meddling. So we can already know ahead of time that you're going to get limited information because number one, they feel like you're an intruder from another country. Number two, you're doing a documentary on them. What was the exchange? Like, if you let us do the documentary, we'll get you resources or food. I'm just wondering what this exchange was. The reason why they said okay. But let's continue. Okay, so the note here says, come on, let me push pause. The girl's story is carefully controlled by the Nigerian government. Didn't I just say that? I just freaking said that. I just said that. The teacher is telling them this film crew will be with you for 1 week to film your activities here at the safe house. They're here to make a documentary, but we told them not to ask you about what happened in the forest. If you tell them what happened, she may be right, but who's to say? It says if you do tell them what happened, the Boko Haram will say we released you and now you're telling our secrets, and they will not release the other girls that may come after you. So, so you already anticipate this happening again. That's what I'm understanding here at the 9-minute mark. Let me try to let you listen to the language. So she's basically telling them don't say anything about what happened in the forest. and they said you should be grateful that you made it. So here's a note here. It says some of the Chippewa girls have confidently given us diaries that they kept while they were in the forest. Now, first of all, I know this is a documentary. I know they want everybody to pay attention to what happened. I know they want to know their stories. Um, you want me to believe that these so-called soldiers or a terrorist group allowed those girls to write in journals? Really? In the forest. You want me to believe they had papers and books and pens? All right. So now it says these personal accounts have never been heard before. It's a girl's voice, so I guess she's narrating. Said they traveled for 3 days. This is a story of what happened to them. She says they traveled for 3 days. I'm gonna try to repeat what she's saying. It was heavy rainfall, no shelter, no food, no water. They put leaves and stuff in the water to try to drink the rainwater. They made rooms for them using tree branches, grasses, and those rooms were too small, so they were they made rooms with tree branches and leaves and stuff, but the rooms were too small, so a lot of them wound up sleeping outside where it was a lot of snakes and scorpions and ants. They weren't allowed to light anything at night. They were told that because they were told they weren't allowed to light anything at night because a jet would take a picture of what they saw and they would be bombed. Why would anyone bomb the girls? Why would anybody bomb knowing that it was hostages? And they're showing the school again with people walking around the school with guns. Their school actually looks like a, what do you call those? Oh, is it a sky high apartment? Yeah, they look like sky high apartments and with very small windows. So it's showing Abuja, and it's going across the map to Chibok and Madugari, Madugari, northeast Nigeria, the birthplace of the Boko Haram, and still a key battleground in its fight to create an Islamic state. So you literally see uh, soldiers walking around in this city with guns and army gear. It says the Nigerian military patrols the streets of Madugari, but the city remains dangerous and volatile. The, the Chipuk the Chibok girls represent a tiny percentage of the hundreds. Y'all listen to this. The Chibok girls represent a tiny percent of the hundreds of girls abducted by the Boko Haram every year. So The story that you saw about this one, about them, is only basically the tip of the iceberg because there are hundreds of more that weren't in that school who are also being kidnapped and the same thing happened. It says those who manage to escape usually come to Madugari looking for shelter. They are known as the Forgotten Girls. I literally just said that because they're not part of that school. This is a horrible story, and I knew it was going to be. So they have someone here her name is Zara. She's telling what happened to her. And mind you, she wasn't in the school. She was over here. Um, she said they were in their tents at night and suddenly they heard gunshots and cars coming into their village. They never heard gunshots before, so everybody started running. I find it hard to believe that they've never heard a gunshot before living where they live. But let's go on. She said when they came to their house, she said that they were taking her with them. They forced her outside. Her brother was pulling one arm, and the guys pulled the other arm, and they shot her brother. When when her mother saw the blood from the brother, the mom fainted, and she said then she fainted. She says when she woke up, she was in the forest, surrounded by a lot of people. And now they show her walking through the city. So now it's pan to another lady. Her name is Hamsatu Alamin, a women's rights activist in Madugari. She says 1 year after abduction of the Chibok girls, they recorded, you guys, they have recorded over 2,000 women and girls abducted. This is a year after the Chibok girls. Nothing changed. 2,000. Let me get some water, y'all. All right, so we found out that it was 2,000. Well, we found out that it was 2,000 taken after the Chibok girls. And the activist says that some were taken from schools, some from their homes, some from the bus, um, some from the buses and public transport. And nobody has ever reported them and nobody has ever talked about them. What what kind of society disregards women and children like this? What kind? The activist said I can sincerely say that we have hundreds of thousands of forgotten women. Why are they saying women when these are girls and women? It has a note here from I guess, the documentary people. It says, unlike the Chibok girls, these young women are free to talk about their time in captivity. I knew they was going to have to get somebody. story. Let's see what happens. So they caught up with Zara. Zara was 16 when she was taken to Sambisa Forest by the Boko Haram. She says, I spent 3 months with the Boko Haram. The women in the forest have different responsibilities. Some help with the household chores, some are assigned to the sick, and some look after the pregnant women. We already know how they got pregnant. So after they make this horrible, horrible mess, they get the girls to clean it up. So they showing her right here, chopping up this wood. I guess that's what they call in household chores. She said some women accompany fighters into the villages and kidnap more women. The Boko Haram threatens them to kill them unless they help them kidnap other girls during the raids. So I guess it's not easy to run away during a raid. You probably get shot if they saw you running. It says one 14-year-old girl still haunts Zara to this day. Let's see what Zara says. They killed her mommy and daddy in order to take her. They took her and locked her into a room. 10 men went into the room and R-worded her. She said they could hear her screaming and crying. You know, women are terrified, scared, and need therapy with one person doing that. This 14-year-old girl had 10 people doing that. 10 adult men. Zara says she couldn't sleep that night. She says the next morning, one of the girls was asked to take some food to her. When she went back to collect the plates, her whole body was covered in blood and she couldn't stand up. She couldn't talk. Zara says she asked her what happened and she told her and she cried. She said she cried too. Then they told her to leave the room. She said nobody was allowed to go in the room. And that's how the little girl died in the room by herself. 14, 10, until she was bloodied and died. To be a part of a group who thinks that you don't have a right to grow up, to read, to be educated, to life. This is a 16:30 mark. She said, I will never forget this all of my life. So now they're back to Abuja, the capital of Nigeria, which has the city and the streets and cars and everything. The place where Zara was mostly dirt roads. And trust me, it feels weird to translate this. I'm not usually one for reading movies, but I thought I would go ahead and talk about this documentary in real time while I'm watching it, instead of like I did the other movie. In case you haven't saw it, it was the review of the Harriet Tubman movie. Okay, so now they're back at the government safe house. The girls were told that their parents are coming to visit. They're cleaning up. One of the girls said that her struggles in the forest was simply to survive so that she could one day see her mom again. She said she still hasn't seen her mom. It upsets her. She said, other than that, that's the only thing that's worrying her right now. They're showing them eating right now. She says to the group of girls, when I see my mother, I'm going to sing a very sweet, lovely song for her. And they're singing the song. Mommy, you are so sweet and loving. Mommy, you're so sweet and loving. May God bless you. Mommy, you're so sweet and loving. We are happy to see you. So one of the girls, Hanatu, started crying. The other girl is telling her, you should not cry. Instead, be grateful to God for keeping you alive. Some girls did not survive, but you are here alive. God has decided to spare your life. You are better off than so many people, even in your condition. Wait. Stop. This slave mentality to this book that doesn't benefit anybody, this belief that doesn't benefit anybody. When you can't prove there's a heaven, who's going to tell you that it is one? Who's seen one? You can't prove that there's a hell, who's going to tell you it's one? You haven't seen one. Okay? You're saying to this girl, first of all, you're not a therapist. Okay? That's one, you're not a therapist. Second of all, to reduce this child's feelings, because she's a child. This little girl looks like she's about 13. Okay? So to try to reduce this child's pain by telling her, at least you alive, You're not a therapist. This isn't helping. This little girl's in tears. And you want to tell her God decided to spare you. Where was this God at when this was going on? Where was he at to stop the people from kidnapping you in the first place? Where was he at when you was out there in the forest, in the rain, in the dark, getting bit by ants and snakes and scorpions? Where was this God at then? Why did it take you so long to get kidnapped after they made a money transaction? Where was God at? How was this God? This is some fucked up advice from somebody that's not a therapist. And I probably can bet you money all of these girls are told the same thing, which is why there is no therapist there. Or at least it wasn't one introduced. This is horrible advice. You can't tell somebody, at least you ain't die. Look, this next sentence, let me push the button. You have seen so many people killed, but you survived. This bitch ain't a therapist. And I say bitch because she's trying to make this little girl feel better, and it's that's not what you tell somebody. That at least you didn't die. Because what about her friends that did die? What about the tragedies she saw? The people being raped. God decided to spare you. If that's the kind of God you worship, I'm not trying to worship him. Where he made a decision that you would be free, but your friend isn't. That he would sit there and watch you go through that tragedy and not intervene. The money transaction got them back. The deal got them back. Otherwise, they would have stayed out there, just like the other thousands of other girls who are gone that wasn't even in this school. Did anybody take into consideration about those girls? This one got the news because of the celebrities in the States, I guess. I assume. But what about the other girls that were taken a year later? Where are they? What happened to them? Why would this God allow all of this to happen? And don't sit up here and say, oh, it was a God, it was Satan. Because who's watching it all go down? Let me finish what she said. Don't waste your time thinking about the negative. She's not a therapist. So their technique of getting through it so far, what we've seen through this documentary, is showing them movies and telling them not to think about it. And having them here in this place because they're scared that they'll come back and they told them they can't be alone because they'll think about it. So the way to get through trauma is to push it out your brain, I assume. Let me finish. This is at the 19 mark if anybody wants to know. Some people have lost everything, but that has not stopped them from achieving their dreams. This is the older lady telling her that. Ever, the next sentence says having an amputated leg shouldn't be a challenge in any way. I didn't know her leg was amputated. They didn't show the bottom part of her. They only showed her waist up. The little girl said, I've seen and felt so much pain and suffering. And I know she has. I know she has. She crying. The note here says the Chibok girls were at risk from the Nigerian government's continuing airstrikes on Boko Haram camps. Am I reading this correctly, y'all? The Chibok girls were at risk from the Nigerian government continuing airstrikes on the Boko Haram camps. So that gal wasn't lying. They were going to bomb the capturers too? And you tell me it was a bunch of women who came up with this strategy for airstrikes. Bet you it wasn't. And don't get on my back with that all men. I never said all men. I said this has to hurt to go through this pain and suffering from people that look just like you. That's what I said. I said these people were doing this to women and girls. And don't just sit up there and be like, oh, well, that's the continent of Africa. Those are different countries, as if it doesn't go on here. Now, we don't hear about 10 people on one. We don't hear about that. But there's one on one almost every fucking day. There's a child being molested almost every fucking day. There are girls in certain areas in the Bronx, New York, the South, who have said out of their mouths they have to change clothes. They wear the big baggy uh, jogging suits and hats, pulled down or backwards, ponytail. Have to wait till they get to their destination and go in the bathroom and put on their makeup and take the clothes off and put on their dresses and everything. Because it's not safe for them to walk to the subway, to the bus in their area without somebody hollering at them, yelling, well, F you anyway, B, pulling their arm when they're trying to walk. And if you say something and makes them angry, they want to hit you with their gun and possibly shoot you. Remember that girl that got shot in the parade for saying she didn't want to dance? Didn't want to dance? You ever heard about it? Google it. New York. That's what I'm saying. We could watch this documentary and be like, oh, well, that's over there. No, boss. Women and girls are always being targeted, regardless of where it is. Am I saying it's only them? Nope. Nope. If you're part of the Alphabet Mafia community, what's Alphabet Mafia? LGBTQ plus. Nobody wants to say all those letters, so they took it to Alphabet Mafia. Alphabet Mafia community, I've heard so many guys, not all, so many guys said their first encounter was by somebody they knew. Somebody they knew. There's a lot of people doing bad jobs of watching these kids. Let's continue with this video. And I'm going to push a pause mark here because I don't want you looking at me drinking this water. But I'm going to push play. Okay, everybody. So apparently, the girl's leg was damaged um, when the bomb was indeed dropped on them once before. She's telling that when she saw the doctor, they told her that they had to amputate her leg. 10 of the girls died instantly. 34 were injured. For 5 months, she was in the hospital. She says, we were crying to Boko Haram that if you had kidnapped us, our sisters wouldn't be dying like this. So now we see her walking down the hallway of the school on crutches. She said that whenever her parents call and ask about her leg, they start crying, and that makes her not want to talk to them on the phone until she gets a new leg. That's that's sad. You shouldn't feel like that. That you can't talk to your parents. Okay, so her teacher is Dennis. He's a psychosocial counselor. Let me take a look at this, yeah, while I got this on pause. I want to see if it's better than a therapist. So let me look it up. Psychosocial counselor. Of course it is. Psychosocial counselor support can include mental health counseling, education, and spiritual support. And it says as well as other services. So comment below. I hope you got a pen and a paper for this one. Comment below for the 22 mark if you believe that in order to make it through troubled times, you have to be further indoctrinated into something that you can't see and something that can't be proven. If you think that that's working, let me know. Or if you think that's sending them from one mental problem to another difficulty dealing with life in general, comment below. Let me know what you think. If I'm wrong, let me know. Let's continue with this. We still got 40 minutes. Now, that's one thing I agree with. He said, I don't want you to see yourself as a victim. I want you to see yourself as a survivor. I'm just not feeling comfortable with this. And I know if the trauma was given through a man that looks like them, how is the support going to come from a man that looks like them? It could show them that all men are not like that, but weren't there any women who had their education in the same field? Maybe they would have felt more comfortable talking to a woman after this tragedy. Like, I'm not really seeing how you go through a tragedy from men, a group of men at that, to talk to another man. I'm not understanding this. Let's keep going. She said, I would like for my new leg to come before my mom comes so that I can run and hug my mom. Aww. So they're showing a van, and it says there are 212 of us traveling from Chibok to Abuja to see our daughters. Is anybody wondering about this setup in the first place? I understand that this school was supposed to be like a girls' school or, I guess, a college setting. Um, no, I mean, I can't say that. Because if you're supposed to be a school, you wouldn't be prepared for a basic takeover. You know what I mean? Which is what happened. And they burned it down. So these people sit their, daughters out there, wanting them to get educated, and instead they got captured. That's got to be a horrible feeling. And it also, if you really want to think about it, how many other parents are saying, remember what happened to them? It's better for you to stay here and take care of the family and cook and clean and prepare for a husband. Like, I just feel like it's all going in a circle. Let's finish, y'all. So they traveling down this road here. It's a it's a long way. It's a lot of people in their van going this far. I wonder if this was a couple of days trip. Oh, one of the ladies said it's been a very long journey. We left our houses yesterday morning. Some of the mothers have been throwing up, and my legs are swelling up. I knew it looked far. I could tell that by looking at the road. And now they're in traffic. Oh, oh my goodness, y'all. One of the people in the van said that he was going to see Margaret. He said that I don't know what I'm going to say to her. A lot of things has happened and she doesn't know. And it said she doesn't know that her mom is not alive anymore. Yo, this is her brother talking. He's crying now. Oh, man. There's a lot of cars. He said, I'm going to tell her. I just don't know how. He's crying. He said, I had to have the courage to tell her about everything that happened. Okay, they're getting all out the van now. They're entering the courtyard. They're stretching their legs. The girls are hugging and they're taking pictures. They're holding hands. They're hugging each other and laughing. Oh, the girl's brother is coming in the courtyard. Margaret says she don't know what's taking her family so long, and her brother's coming in the courtyard now. She gave her a hug, him a hug. She crying. Oh, he crying too. She said that she can't describe how happy she feels because she haven't seen her brother since before the kidnapping. She said he's the oldest of her brothers. She kind of explained what happened, that they had told them that they were soldiers and they found out they weren't soldiers. She said they didn't run because they were told that they were soldiers. It says Philip didn't tell her about her mom. The other girl's parents are saying that they told her she was gonna have her leg, and she still doesn't have it yet. Now everybody's in the courtyard again. They're saying goodbye, dude. He really didn't tell her about her mama. One of the passages from the diary says that three of the girls tried to run away when they were in the forest, and they were caught. And the fake soldiers gathered all the other girls and told them to watch while they make examples of the ones who tried to run away, so no one would try to run away again. And they beat the girls, and they opened up a hole and told the girls to get in, and they begged for them not to slaughter them. And they told them whoever begs for us not to slaughter them would get slaughtered too. But they said they continued to beg. And the girl's diary says God answered our prayers and they didn't slaughter them. You can't see how bad this indoctrination is. You got the ones who kidnapped them praying to God that they get this money. And you got the ones who are being kidnapped praying to God so that they can survive. Who's answering who? Prayers. Okay, so we're back in Madugari. Zara is on the ground praying. She said if you were caught trying to escape, they would slaughter everyone who came up with the idea. She said there was an old man who told her that he would help her escape. They found out he was helping people to escape from the forest, and they killed him. But after they removed his hands and legs, his ears, and his mouth, he died from the pain. Despite the risk, Zara and her two friends still decided to escape. One night, when the guards fell asleep on the job, they went out to use the bathroom and they took a risk and ran. They suffered a lot. One girl died, and the other two kept running. She was hungry, thirsty, and couldn't walk, so she fell down and started crawling. She felt like the Boko Haram were so close to her. She was the only one that made it out of the three of them. The rights activists, they pan to her and she says if anyone tells you that they don't have a member of their family in the Boko Haram, I'm telling you for a fact they are lying because these are the people in our area, in our neighborhoods. When they go to perpetuate their violence, they come back and sleep in their houses. Instead of these men protecting them, they're the ones that are harming them and see nothing wrong with it. What, besides religion and craziness, would tell you that because you have a penis, your life is more valuable than somebody else's? She says the mothers know it, the neighbors don't report it, because if they do, they'll be targeted. She said that's how they became the epicenter of the Boko Haram. The war with Boko Haram has destroyed hundreds of villages across Nigeria. The resulting famine has driven millions of people to Madugari for food. I understand this is a documentary about these girls, about the situation, but was it only this group of people, of the fake soldiers, who got these people starving like that? These are thousands of people starving. Is it just them? Is it them and the government? Is it them, the government, and the colonizers? How did they get in this predicament? And how can it be fixed? And here's the thing, we can watch stuff like this all day, every day, knowing that we have our own problems because there are people here starving. You know what I'm saying? You'll see the little commercials, 50 cents a day will help somebody over there, and they're not helping people who live here who are starving. I volunteered at many shelters, seeing families there, families. So I know it's people that are hungry. The families who wind up in the shelters are the ones who can't get help from the Department of Human Services for food stamps and things like that. There's levels to this. Once you get denied one place, you have to go somewhere else. It's when the shelter says they don't have anything for you that you starve. But I'm looking at these thousands of people. This documentary is about them. So, of course, they're going to be like, oh, well, it's because of this group of people, and that's why they're starving. That could be one part of it. It could be. The people who are in this group that live in this city that's doing this to their own people. You can't have any conscience. You can't. To do this to your own group of people, to do this to women and children, to cause this kind of strife, to think less of a human being than you do an animal. Let's keep going. Zara says whenever there was aid, she went to the line to try to get her aid. And that's when she finally saw her mom in the same line. She ran straight to her, but her mom didn't recognize her because that's how much she had changed. She was older. Then she burst into tears because she thought that they were killed, that she was killed. The mom is talking about how she didn't recognize that she was so tall, and she yells praise to Allah. This girl escaped when the guards were asleep, ran and ran and ran until her feet hurt, and then she crawled. Out of three people, she made it. And the mom says, praise Allah, totally disregarding the strength that it took her daughter to do that. The mama asked her, did she have plans for the future? Started smiling. She said she was thinking about she wanted to go to school. Her mama said, why aren't you thinking about getting married? I just can't. I just can't. I just can't. I just can't. You want to know why I can't? Because not only are these men not thinking highly of the women and girls, the women are not thinking highly of themselves. Your only destiny is to be a wife to somebody, a maid and a cook, and then make some babies. This girl said she wanted an education. This girl was smiling until her mom said, "What? Don't you want to get married?" And she stopped smiling. You could sit there and say, "Well, it's the thing between old school and new school." Okay, I give you that. But looking at where they live and this trying to be an Islamic state, and they walking around with these coverings on with nothing but their face. If she does go to school, it's gonna be a surprise for me. The mom says, "May Allah help my daughter get married." If I could just make somebody open their eyes and see that what you've been taught is absolutely wrong. To not be able to tell yourself that you have the strength to do what you need to do, to tell yourself that you have the strength to be able to be a survivor, to make it, to live happy and healthy. She want to go to school, her mother should be 100% behind her, not telling her to get married. She just been through an ordeal and you thinking about her getting married? Her mom told her she should be happy that she survived and she made it. The police that are in the streets driving traffic have guns this big as well. So for this to be your everyday life, I feel it's horrible. They got the girls out of the school on the bus on a field trip and they're smiling. They took them to this banquet hall where they having food and they're dressed up with their families. Ooh, it's pretty in there too. It's got lights and different color sheets, decorations. I say sheets, decorations. Look like curtains. So just imagine the inside of a tent where someone gets married or a reception. That's what it looks like. It's got flowers in there, water. So They have people in there giving speeches and things like that. The Vice President, American University of Nigeria, Reginald Bragg. He's giving them some encouragement. He told them all to stand up. He rapping for them. He beatboxing, y'all. Okay. He told them to have a seat. Oh, hell. Wait. The only thing he said is if you come to the University of Nigeria, you will be close to your families. And then he sits down and says, "Thank you very much." I thought he was telling them to stand up because he had scholarships for them or was going to pay for them to go to school. That's all he said? After the ordeal they've been through? That's all you had to say? Bruh. The news came up to the rights activist lady and asked her if the girls had HIV from the ordeal, and she said none of the girls have HIV. And that's a good reporter. Now that's a good reporter. One of the ladies said that there's a lot of girls out there who are not from the Chibok girls who have been kidnapped and still in that forest right now, and nobody has said anything about them. And she said, "What do you have to say about that?" And he said, "All I have to say is I believe I trust in the government." Wow. For every second that you smile, you just have to stop smiling because you can't believe what the hell you're hearing. At least I can't. Comment down below, 40-minute mark. What you think about that comment? I trust in the government. Those girls are still out there. I don't want this video to be too long because I know it's going well past the hour right now. But I'm trying to get through this, y'all. So let me push pause so it could at least be a break. Y'all go use the restroom and we're going to get back and try to finish this up. Go ahead. All right, you guys. I hope you were able to go use your restroom, take a break, get your water, and do the things you needed to do. I pushed play a little bit just to see, what the next scene was. And basically, they were getting back on the bus, singing on the bus and everything. And then one of the girls on the bus said that she didn't understand what the guy was saying because he was speaking in English. And so the other girl said, "I don't know. I think he said we was going to school together." And so then the girls talking about going to school together. And she said, "How can we go to school together if we're not taking the same learning?" And then they just started talking. So I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. Dude didn't offer them a scholarship, pay for it, or nothing. And they didn't even understand him. So basically, they just did all that for the camera. That's how I feel. Okay, so sorry about that. I pushed the button wrong. But yeah, I feel like he just did that for the camera. So let's continue with this. I'm getting real frustrated at this movie. The girls on the bus. Um, the girls were taken to this place called Magic Land. It was an amusement park. These rides that they getting on look like little kids' rides, but okay. It's literally like this little bitty roller coaster that little kids get on. But at least they smiling, y'all. So they're describing the fun that they had at the amusement park. They said the girls are getting tired and asked to be taken back to their house. This house has armed guards and barbed wire fence. And now we're back in Madagari. So much traffic. October 22nd, 2017. Across the city, there have been three suicide bomb attacks in one day. It's a lot of dead bodies, y'all. There's blood all over the cars, and they're carrying away body bags in the ambulance. Two of the suicide bombers were female. They killed 20 people, including themselves. 101 young women were used as suicide bombers by the Boko Haram in 2017. So, it's bad enough that you were kidnapped and taken from your family and used and abused, but you also had strapped to you bombs and were used for suicide bombers. That they supposed to be so strong with these weapons, but they're gonna use the women. What were you saying about men not doing this? Oh, my fault. I'm supposed to say not all men. Right, of course. Just these men. That's what the documentary is about, these. But as we know, this goes on everywhere by all races of men. It says even the girls who escaped the Boko Haram are treated with suspicion because they may have been radicalized in their mind, which basically means brainwashed. So, so now they catch up with another girl for her story. Her name is Habiba. I knew somebody named Habiba um, when I lived in Tennessee. Habiba is 18. She says, when I escaped from Boko Haram, I ran to Madagari. People did not trust me. They saw me as Boko Haram. They didn't want us living there because they were afraid we were suicide bombers. My town was a peaceful place. There wasn't any fighting or arguments in my house until the day the Boko Haram came. They went from house to house kidnapping men. That was the last time I saw my father ever again. She's crying. Biba was 15 when she was abducted. He took a lot of us into the forest. There were lots of girls, old people, and children. Habiba was locked in a cage for 4 months, then forced to marry a Boko Haram fighter. He looked like a hyena that eats people. I didn't love him because he was a murderer. It wasn't my choice to be with him. It was out of fear of being killed. They did lots of terrible things. They ransacked villages and stole supplies. They killed people. After I was married off, I lived with my husband. I was with him for many months. When I escaped, I was 2 months pregnant. I think a lot about what happened to me. My life is ruined. I have a baby, a child of the Boko Haram. This is what his father did to me. And there's a whole nother trauma. And there's a whole nother trauma to have a child by your rapist, and then a child comes out to be a boy. Not saying it would be different if it had been a girl, but she went through with the pregnancy. 2 months may have been too far to do anything about it. But yeah, so they got a little picture of her kid, Muhammad, 18 months. When I made up my mind to escape, I told myself that even if I died or was caught, then this is what Allah then this is what Allah had in mind for me. Do you hear this? She says nothing could compel me in my heart to go back. I just kept running and running and running. When I tell you religion kills people, mind, body, and soul. And just to think that we got people here now that specifically say, oh, well, if I'm looking for a mate, he has to be spiritual and mental and all of this stuff. He has to be a man of God. Are you freaking kidding me? It's because of your belief that you're so paralyzed to think that somebody who's supposed to be your creator, your lover, this is like your first encounter with the abusive relationship. Someone who says, do what I say or I kill you. Or you go to whichever kind of hell from whichever religion. Somebody that tells you that you mean nothing, and if I decide to let you live, you should be happy about it. Let's finish this, y'all. So they're showing this land how it looks from above, and you see like basically swamp waters. Um, it's like it looks like small apartments, but they don't have any doors. They show kids running. Another interview, Ahmed is 12. He says he's dreaming of finding his brothers and sisters. Omar is 9. He says, I'm looking for my mommy. He can't remember his mom's name. Now he thought about it. He said it was Fatima. Umar and Ahmad was abducted by Boko Haram to be trained as soldiers. They managed to escape when the Boko Haram captors fled from a firefight. Uh, what was her name? Abiba. Was it Abiba? She says when she found the two boys, they were in a corner and their trousers were torn. The older one clothes were torn too. He was wearing some kind of turban, and that's how I found him. I beckoned them towards me with my hand. The little boy ran to me and hugged me and called me mommy. He said, please help me. We lay on the ground together as the shooting continued from night until morning, and that's when they left the village. Within less than a week, I had grown fond of them. Wherever I went, they followed me around calling me mommy. I felt so guilty at the thought of taking them to an orphanage. I knew if I abandoned them, some part of me would be missing. So she took in these two boys. She telling them stories about how beautiful their wives will be. This is the 51 mark, everybody. Let me know what you think about that comment. Let's finish with this. It's kind of cute what she got on. It's like a shirt, but it's got a hood to it. Okay, now we're at the outskirts of Abuja, and Margaret has been allowed out of the safe house to see her brother Philip. I wonder if Philip finally gonna tell her about her mama. Well, he had no choice, do he? I was planning to tell her the news, but the elders back home said it was too early since the trauma of the Boko Haram, as well as the news from my mom's death would be too much for her. Now I think it's the right time to tell her. This is her brother talking because she's getting ready to go to university. I mean, it's the right time because you ain't got no choice. She finna come home. So she's sitting in the living room. He told everybody to leave. Now it's raining outside. He told her he didn't want to tell her before because she was already in pain. Now she's crying. He hugging her. She thought her mom was in the hospital when in actuality her mom was dead. She said, you all lied to me. He said, I didn't tell you because we thought it would be too much for you to bear. And now we see them traveling through the city again, back to the safe house, the camera crew. This is our last day in the safe house. We received gifts like a tablet and a cell phone. I feel like if these girls go back to the place where they don't have any food, those things are going to be sold real quick. They gave them nice suitcases. They all have pretty dresses on with their hair wraps matching their dress. And they're traveling from Abuja to, I gotta follow the map, y'all, to a place below Chibok called Yola. That's nice. They didn't take them back. They went to AUN, the University of Nigeria. AUN is a privately funded university with 1,000 students. Classes are taught in English. So I guess they had to learn English. I wonder if they got us. On the night that Chibok girls were abducted, 57 of their classmates managed to escape. Half of them are at AUN. That's good. They got a picture of all the escaped girls together. So the girls who were there before them are talking about their experience, and she said that one of the girls said that she's able to feel more um, secure about her future or happy about her future. She's able to speak English, read and write English. She says she changed a lot. The escaped girls haven't seen their classmates since the night they were kidnapped. Now they got the buses coming in with the other girls. They're hugging each other. They got regular clothes on. The girls who are already there, compared to the ones that are coming in with the matching uh, head wraps and dresses. She said all of our friends seem happy to greet us. It's been years since we saw them. They all in the auditorium together, singing songs. Now that's a welcome. The ones who've been there are singing to the new ones. Aww. I know they can't wait to wear what they want to wear. The escape girls are giving a tour to the new girls. Hanatu now has her prosthetic leg. She said, the girl with the prosthetic leg said, if I had had my way, I wouldn't have came to YOLO because it's too close to the Boko Haram. I can understand she's scared. She she's sitting down right now. She said, I don't have a choice. If I did, I wouldn't come here. One of the other girls said she was happy to see her friends again. She says, but we're not able to talk to the other girls at the school. Now we're going back to Medagari. Millions of people fleeing Boko Haram end up in makeshift campus in Nigeria. This is a lot of kids. The Nigerian government provides little psychological support for those who have been traumatized by Boko Haram. So you're going to have trauma raising trauma. This is a lot of kids. It's like a nation of kids. In Madugari, independent counselors are trying to help instead. So right now I'm looking at the counselors with a group of people and they're trying to talk to them. And right now they got the little kids drawing pictures trying to get their feelings out. People who have lost people who have lost loved ones are trying to get their feelings out. And now they're basically just showing the kids outside playing and kicking a ball. Habiba says she can't dream of anything for herself. I only dream for the children to get what they want from life, but not myself. That's horrible. Umar said he wanted to go to school, and Ahmed said he wanted to be a football player. He wants to take care of his new mom, I guess you call her. Zara's still with her mom. She wants to help the needy. The Chibok girls are continuing their studies at AUN. The government will pay for them to complete their university degrees. At least they got that right. And it's going off showing them in school. And that's the end of the documentary. It says the government continues to negotiate for the release of the remaining 113 Chibok girls. But yo, what about the hundreds of others that wasn't at the school? Oh, look, it says it's estimated tens of thousands of forgotten girls. Dang, let me go back. I spoke too soon, y'all. Um, I read that part. 113 Chibok girls. It's estimated tens of thousands of forgotten girls are still being held by the Boko Haram. That's what I'm talking about, y'all. Like, they focused on the school of girls. Okay. So they focused on the documentary was about the girls in the school, but tens of thousands that wasn't even in the school still haven't been addressed. They still out there. They're still being forced to marry the people who raped them. They still having, children. All of this stuff. This is only 2017. So 21, we haven't heard any updates here in the States. You know what I mean? But I bet you it ain't too much has changed. I bet you it hasn't. This documentary was done in 2018. It's called Stolen Daughters. Stolen Daughters Kidnapped by Boko Haram. And remember now at the beginning, this is only what they let be released. You don't know what else you don't know that they didn't release, that they don't want you to know. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like I said everything that I wanted to say. We can sum up, the end of the movie. Of course, with it being a documentary, they had to end it off with them in school and the girls thriving and everything like that. But like the little note said, all the ones that were called the forgotten girls because they weren't in at school, to be in a community that don't even bring them up, and nobody can snitch because they scared, and they still giving praises to God and Allah, going through trauma by their own people. So many of them, the ones who not in the school, are basically giving up their own dreams and just hope that the younger kids get what they need. People who are traumatized don't have that much therapy or way to get therapy. The little counselors can go in certain areas, but they can't get everybody. That was literally a sea of kids that they showed in the camera. So that means that you and your trauma and your nightmares are raising kids and their trauma and their nightmares. And I know a lot of those kids know that they're the product of rape. Those two boys that called that girl mama and she took them. I know she thinks she did do a good deed, but what about her mental health? To not only have to take care of the rape child that she had and she escaped, now she got two boys with added to that. After watching this whole documentary, we can see things that happen all day long, but if you don't have a solution, it's gonna keep on happening. I just want to know when it's gonna stop. Thank you for listening. Leave your comments below.